Chapter 8 is about informing your audience, which you will need to do, as I have mentioned in your final. The first part of what you are going to present to me in your final is you are going to inform me of your cause, okay? You're going to inform me of your cause, of your foundation, but you need to, that's the main thing, is you are informing me of the cause, and then you are going to persuade me, which is in chapter 9, to buy into your cause, okay? On page 121, under 8.1, it says goals of informative speaking. There are 3 primary goals of informative talk. It's to stimulate interest, increase understanding, and assist retention, okay? So the first goal of informative speaking is to arouse the interest of your audience. Without the successful completion of this first goal, the other 2 goals will not be accomplished, okay? The old saying, there are no uninteresting topics, just uninterested listeners, affirms the need for you to go to get the audience aroused. I think we can all agree that you definitely need to be, you need your interest peaked before you're going to buy into it, right? Okay? If you present your information in ways that make it relevant or personally useful to your audience, you are more inclined to arouse and maintain their interest, okay? With many times we speak a lot about ourselves in this class and things of that nature, and it kind of, I would think it would pique your interest because you can either relate or have empathy for that person, or, okay? Make the information relevant to where they are, not where you are. Again, it's coming full circle. It's not about you, okay? I've been telling you that from the beginning. It's not about you, it's about your audience. Bring your information close to where the audience lives, okay? Drop it in their laps. Present your material in ways that will make your audience realize, I didn't know it affected me in that way. If you're talking with them, talking about the importance of healthy eating habits to a group of young college students, make it relevant to them by describing how the accumulated effects of eating processed and fried foods will make life miserable for them in the future. I don't know. They keep telling me that, but I still like them. So, all right. Just kidding. I'm not ready. All right. If the information in your speech is new, the audience is more apt to pay attention. The principle of newness is seen in the marketing of products on your grocery store shelves. The words like new and improved are splashed across the label of hundreds of products annually. Tonight was kind of like a perfect example of this, because by the end, the ones who are doing the cranio, like Mallory, you said, everybody already knows this, okay? But Mark had some great information that was a little bit different from what others had, okay? So it kind of like piqued your interest again. The words new and improved are splashed across labels of hundreds of products annually. So that's what they're talking about, like you're informing, but you're marketing at the beginning. Information is more likely to stimulate audience interest when it is startling. Right from the beginning I told you something startling. Startling statistic, a startling fact, something that really grabs their attention. Ask a question, or you tell like an amazing story, something that fishing pole again. You're casting it out and you're trying to get them in, okay? Right from the beginning. The second goal of informative speaking is to present the information in a way that will be understood by your audience. Use simple language. Remember KISS, keep it simple, silly. Again, keep it simple. People are not impressed by big vocabulary. You have to think on the whole. If you're in a room of a bunch of MIT doctors or whatever, that would be acceptable. But for the most part, especially you guys that are going to end up working with the community, you have to talk on a level that everybody will understand. Okay? Simple language when you speak to an audience. Aristotle once advised, think as think as wise men think, but speak as the common people speak, okay? We should speak so the least intelligent in the room can understand our words, then everyone will understand, okay? And that's not like, that's the truth, all right? A speech that is clearly organized will help your audience understand what you have to say. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Works with public speaking audiences as well. Remember the preview of main points, main point transitions, and the summary of main points. That is why I am such a stickler on the way that I want the outline done. It's clear, it's organized, you're in, you're out, okay? Let's see, we need to remember that speaking is different from reading. The reader can see various headings and subheadings and can see the paragraph structure on the printed page, but the listener cannot. He must rely on hearing the words of the speaker. Make your speech easy to understand by previewing the main points, stating clear transitions, and reviewing the points. The third way you can increase understanding is to use examples and stories. I'm a big example and storyteller. I think you know that now as we wind this semester down. But it paints a picture so that you can visualize, okay? You could open up your final with, what's your topic?
Mental health.
Okay, imagine feeling like you're a caged animal inside of your head because, you know, you can't get the mental health care that you need, okay? Something like that where, you know, I can picture myself in a dog crate, like when I say something like that, okay? I mean, it's funny, but it gives that visualization, okay? Mark has been great with some visualization of his house. Like every time I think of his house, I think of like the Barnum and Bailey circus, walking away from the front door to the back door, okay? But visualization is huge, okay? It can help you calm down, but it can help the audience for you to paint a picture, because your public speaking is like storytelling, kind of, okay? All right, so stories are useful in developing a point you're trying to have the audience understand. The advantage of telling stories is that they have a definite beginning, middle, and ending, and they usually captivate the audience's attention more effectively than shorter forms of examples. Another advantage is that a story is far easier to master and share with an audience than a list of statistics and facts, okay? An audience will most likely remember a well-told story long after the statistics and quotes have been forgotten, although I do like the quotes. They always get me. All right? The fourth way you can help your audience understand what your speech is about is to have them visualize. Again, visual aids are worth the effort that require because the dividends they pay in helping your audience see and understand what you're discussing are great. You can also have your audience visualize without the use of physical props. I don't know, I'm sure I mentioned it to you because I feel like I'm a broken record. Every time I go into a job interview, I will always bring like a folder or something with a short little PowerPoint about myself, my resume, just highlights of myself and my career, and I will always leave it with them, okay? So that's like a little bit different, but that's a visual aid I always bring with me to a job interview, because no matter what, I will stick out, whether I'm right for that job or not, I will always stick out to them, and they will remember me. Same goes with speaking and doing a presentation like this, or informing an audience, okay? All right. And the last one is assist audience retention. Studies in listening and retention clearly suggest that we don't remember all that much of what we hear. Immediately after we listen to a lecture, we generally only retain 50% of the material presented, and within 2 weeks we can remember only 25% of what is said. There is some recent research that would lead us to believe that the actual figures are much lower. Retention is determined to a large extent by the listener's motivation, interest, training, psychological state, physical state, life circumstances, stress level, work schedule, all that good stuff, okay? So it talks about repetition. But I will tell you, and this is just clearly proven, we're all human. That's why, like, when you do your final, I will go home. I don't know that I would get it done that night on the 16th, but I will get up early in the morning to do it because you lose it, okay? All right, so it just talks about repetition. The use of association is repeating. I feel like that's all I do sometimes is repeat. The use of association is a powerful tool for helping people retain information. The acronyms are very easy, like KISS. There you go. And then a fourth method for getting your audience to remember your talk is the use of a one-sentence saying that summarizes the theme or central idea of your speech. The sentence could be one you construct yourself, a quote, a proverb, a verse from a poem, a title, a movie, book, anything else that is no longer than a sentence and easy to remember. And the final thing you can do to help your audience remember your speech is to prepare a one-page handout highlighting the important points of what you've talked about, especially if you're asking them to donate or informing them, etc. Then it just goes into the designs of informative speaking, exposition, description, narration. I'll briefly go over these so we can get going. Exposition means to expose or explain. Therefore, the main goal of exposition is to inform your audience. Exposition is used to explain a process, concept, or ideas to others. It talks about, you can use a definition, comparison, demonstration, which we've already done, okay? And then it talks about the steps to doing that. Analysis is the third form of exposition, breaking down an idea, concept, or event into various parts to get a clearer picture of how something operates or functions. The next one is description. The second approach to informative speaking is description. Description makes use of sensory information to verbally paint a clear picture of what you're talking about. So like I said, you could use, I was telling a story and visualizing, but you could describe what it would be like to have mental health issues. You can't get help. The categories of description that you can use are size, shape, weight, color, composition, and age, and it breaks those all down for you, okay? And then lastly, narration. Again, in public speaking, storytelling or narration can be used as a powerful means of clarifying an idea or concept for your audience. Equally important is the ability of a story to stick in the listener's memory long after the story has been told. Many of my finals, the students will interview somebody and they will play it, and I will tell you those have been so powerful. I had one group did a thing on immigration, and they did like a video, and it was these young kids, college, or like high school seniors trying to get into college, and then they realized they didn't have a social security number, so they couldn't get to school, and they didn't even know about it. Oh my gosh, so powerful, so powerful. Anyways, your story should illustrate your point. Know your story, become the various characters, time your story during your practice sessions. Then language use for informative speaking on page 129, simple language, we already discussed that. Specific language, avoid using vague or abstract language in your speeches. Overused words and cliches should also be avoided. If you use language that is vague or overused, the audience isn't challenged and they may begin to drift off to other things in the room besides you. I can see everybody sort of drifting right now. It says the woman planted purple tulips, yellow roses, and red geraniums in her yard. Oh, it talks about the woman planted flowers, but then it describes. So that's more specific language. Active language. Use strong active verbs in your speeches. Avoid using weak verbs such as is, was, will be, and are. Instead of saying it is my feeling, you can more forcefully announce I feel like this today, okay? Personal language, such as I, you, us, we, will help bring you closer to your audience. and guiding language. This is an important one. I definitely highlight this. Guiding language helps your audience understand and remember your speech. It's a language that guides them in, around, and through your presentation. Transitions are the best devices the speaker can utilize in guiding and directing the listener. External transitions are complete sentences used to signal movement from one major part of the speech to another. Between the main points of your speech, external transitions are essential in directing the listener from one point to another. And then it talks about internal transitions. You definitely want to know the difference between internal and external, okay? And then again, unbiased language. You don't want to use biased language or stereotypes, okay? And then on page 132, positive language. You know I'm a positive pip. I'd love to be positive. Be positive, okay? And then it just goes into types of informative speeches. It just gives you some examples of how your outline could be. All right. Oh, and lastly, on page 134, it talks about the question and answer session. Familiarize yourself with this because you are required to have a question and answer session at the end of your final project. All you have to do is say, are there any questions? This is an easy way to lose 5 points. I have students that just end it and they don't ask for questions. I will sit and I will try and come up with questions to ask you. I may not always, but I will try and throughout your presentation. So prepare for the questions because you know that you're going to have them. Announce the question and answer session before your speech. Model the question. Always restate the question. So your question is, how many pigs do you have, correct? And you answer that, okay? Always restate it back so you're clear about what they're asking you. Use the 25-75% rule. The person who asks the question 25% of your speaking time and maintain eye contact with the rest of the audience 70. So your question was, okay, well the way we'll answer that question is, okay? Keep your answers short, don't go on and on. And admit you don't know. It's okay to say if you don't know something. If somebody in any situation asks you a question, you know what, I'm not sure that answer, but I will get that information to you. That is okay to say. Smile, smile. Control the audience and conclude the question and answer session. Does anybody have any questions about chapter 8? Okay, so the sections that you will want to know for the chapter 8 test that you want to focus on are lesson 8.1, goals of informative speaking. Lesson 8.2, the designs for informative speaking, okay, specifically demonstration, analysis, and you also want to know 8.5 for about questions, okay, and you will also want to know the techniques for increasing audience's understanding, which is on lesson 8.1. Again, pretty much all of them. 8.1 talks about acronyms, repetition, and then 8.3, the language use, specifically the different kinds of languages and transitions. You want to know about the transitions, again, in 8.3, the different kinds of transitions. Okay?